Hello and welcome to Women of Influence podcast. Hi, I'm Jaylen with the J Group Real Estate Team.
The Great American Speak Off.
One of my favorites.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Women of Influence. Today, it is my sincere pleasure and honor to have with us amazing guest, Kerry Thomas. Good morning, Kerry. How the heck are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for hopping in here. So I wanted everybody to know a little bit about who you are. So you basically help people to get more clarity by conquering their chaos, conquering their clutter. So tell us a little bit about what you do, Kerry.
Sure. I actually have two portions to my business, and I think they both represent who I am very well. So I started out years ago. Well, actually, even before that, I was in education and had my master's in education. And so I'm very interested in how the brain works and helping people with ADD and helping people who just think differently and have learning differences and think like, I can't get organized. I can never be productive, those type of people. So I work a lot with small business owners and professionals, executives on setting up their systems for success. So we look at everything. We look at their paper clutter. We look at a lot on their digital world. So email, the CRM, everything that goes into being a successful professional. So I do that. I also have another portion of my business that I love, and it came to be actually because of my TED Talk and people reaching out and wanting coaching. And I run groups for women. It's called My Frustration to Freedom program. And we look at all of it. We look at the external clutter, and then we also spend probably most of our time actually building what I call their internal clutter toolkit. So we look at, mindset and emotional clutter and all that kind of stuff. So I have those two parts to my business, and I think they both suit me well.
Wow, that is amazing. I had no idea. So when I was reading your bio and looking at your website, I was thinking, clutter in my mind, it's like, okay, things I see around the house, like paperwork, things like that. So how exactly do you define clutter, Kerry?
That's a really good question. So I'll talk about the definition and then the types really fast. So I have used for years the gold standard definition of one of my mentors, Barbara Hempel, that clutter is postponed decisions. And I still 100% believe that, think it's true in every situation. I also, over the last, 6 months to a year, really developed my own definition because of what I saw in my clients. And that is, clutter is anything that keeps you from navigating your life with ease.
Wow.
Because
so
that's
good.
what people want. People want that ease and that peace and that, just like, even as I said it, I exhaled and all the clutter, even the kind in your closets or the kind on your laptop or the kind in here, if it builds up, it keeps you from navigating your life with ease.
That is so good. Thank you for that. That's really a profound statement. And clutter is really just a delayed decision. Like, how many of us are, so-called procrastinators, right? And stopping ourselves from achieving that freedom that we so desperately want, but don't necessarily know how to get there. Right. So, Kerry, how long have you been doing this, helping others to basically declutter themselves, to declutter their lives?
Yeah, so I started in 2007, end of 2007. I actually had a friend who had become a professional organizer, and we went to lunch one day when I was back visiting in Florida. And she was talking about it. I was like, wait a minute, I'm really good at this. That's a job. Like, hold the presses. And so she told me how to get started. And so I started in late 2007 doing what you're thinking of, the typical kitchen cabinets, garages, closets, all that type of stuff. And then I quickly realized that I was good at the processes and the systems. And this is funny, but I geek out on paper. Like, I am really good and freakishly fast at sorting paper. And so it was around that time that I met Barbara Hemphill, and I did her training program and became a certified productive environment specialist so that I could work with business systems and things like that. So that was around 2014, 2015. And so I've been doing that ever since. And I still do some of the traditional organizing if it's friends, family, that type of stuff. And then I started my group program in 2020. And so I'm currently on my 5th group of women running through my program. So I keep evolving.
I love that. That is so good. So it sounds to me like you truly have unlocked not only your gift, but your passion for helping others to declutter their lives, whether it's paperwork, mental clutter, emotional clutter, all of that. As I'm listening to you talk right now, I'm like, oh Lord, sister, I need your help big time. Because when you say paperwork, like the inside of me just cringes. I'm like, ooh, no, I don't like paperwork, but you do.
I do.
Or you like sorting it anyway.
Yeah, it's strangely my favorite thing. And I have a really good system for setting up files. And it's one that people haven't thought of or haven't used before. And so I love surprising people that, yes, this can be easy. This doesn't have to be a drag or something, like you said, that you procrastinate.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Now, I can imagine that your home is very well organized. Am I right?
I'm laughing only because that's a loaded question. So I got divorced I split in 2019. In 2020, 2021, I sold or gave away probably 90 to 95% of everything I owned. And I followed a lifelong passion to live oceanfront. So
Wow.
700 square feet of tiny, crappy old condo that is pure heaven. And so it has to stay neat because there's not much room. And full disclosure, I do have a storage unit now because, there's just not enough room. So I have to have Christmas and, all those type of things. I'm actually doing this broadcast from my mother's house. So I'm here right now actually organizing her house. So,
lovely. I can imagine. That just reminds me of a story. Like, my husband and I downsized from 2,600 square feet down to an 891 square foot 1-bedroom condo in downtown Phoenix. And so we literally can live out of 2 suitcases right now if we need to. And it's absolutely freeing. But I would imagine you also help people with the process of letting go of like some of their stuff, right? Like, can you explain a little bit about kind of what that looks like?
Yes, I can. So that's a big one. And I get called a lot from friends actually to ask if I can help with their parents. That's been a theme of the last couple of years. People, as you said, downsizing. I actually had a lovely client out in California that sold everything. She doesn't even have a storage unit. She lives out of those 2 suitcases and is traveling Mexico right now. And I helped her with that process because whether you're just getting a smaller home or going into assisted living or living your dream and traveling the world, you want to do it, but it's still overwhelming. And the reason that letting go can be difficult is there are emotions attached to our things. There is energy in our things. And so a couple of things that help are having a friend be there with you. I was taught years and years and years ago that one of the easiest ways to help my clients let go of things is if they don't touch them. Let's say you have a teddy bear that you had when you were a child. And if I hold it up and show it to you or a friend and say, what about this? You might think, oh, no, I don't want that. I never look at it. It's not that great. We can go ahead and let it go. But if you touch it and smell, especially smell is a huge trigger of memories, and feel it, and all your senses start to get involved, all of a sudden, that is a valued possession that just can't leave. And so one of the best tricks is to actually work either with a professional or a friend, sister, brother, whatever, and have them help you sort and, make a decision from a slight distance. That's one thing that helps. Another thing that helps is allowing yourself to do it in layers, and giving yourself grace that some of these things have either good or bad, whatever it is, they have that energy attached to it. And so maybe let go of the easy things first, and then give yourself permission to have those piles that are the revisit piles, that type of thing. Another, I'll say this last one is, if I find more and more that if clients feel really good about where their stuff is going, then it's easier. So very popular things are, women's shelters or thrift stores that support a cause that they are passionate about, or donating. My mother just passed, and we're donating all of her art supplies to the elementary school where she was a volunteer with the art club. Things like that, instead of just wholesale, just putting it on the curb or taking it to Goodwill. Sometimes that's fine because speed is of the essence for some people, but it's easier to let go if it's going to a good home.
Those are such great tips and such great advice. And I like when you were telling the story about the teddy bear, and I know like personally, if that were me and my teddy bear from my childhood, if I like touched it, it would have been game over. I'm like, oh no, we're not getting rid of that. Because I totally can understand what you're saying about having those emotional attachments, and also having something that's, maybe a positive replacement per se. Is like, okay, this stuff's going to a good home or whatever. Those are such great ideas. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. So can you tell us a story, or maybe a couple of stories about maybe some of the most outrageous or difficult clients that you've worked with?
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind, I have a couple, but the very first thing that came to mind, and people that follow me have heard me talk about this wonderful man, because Bob, I almost have to like put my hands on my heart when I say Bob.
Good old Bob.
Yeah. Bob is he's in rehab right now. He just got out of the hospital. He's a little bit older, but when I first met him, came into his world, I was introduced by a mutual friend, and he, a single guy, older, never married, and had a lot of paper clutter. And he did not want to commit. First of all, to even let me in his front door was a huge thing. And then when I wanted to bring my assistant, that was another huge step for him. And so back in that day, I did everything by hourly pricing, and he never wanted to buy a package, never wanted to get a discount, never wanted to commit. We worked 2 hours a week for 18 months. And that was all he was going to do. But in that 18 months, he decided to clean up his home, and we hung pictures on the walls eventually. And we became so close that I started to help him with other things. And then when he moved to an independent living community, I actually helped him move, and he just became just so precious to me. But it started off with his complete hesitation. Like, no, I don't want help. I don't need help. I don't know who this woman is. She's not coming in my home. And
it's my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that continues to still be a very precious one to me.
I love it. That's so awesome. So can you tell us maybe a story about what this transformation has done for like some of your clients? Like they went from this before and now they're this.
Yeah, that's a good one. So like I said, I do have that one client who was able to sell her home, get rid of her things. And now and when I see her on social media, she doesn't even look like the same person. Now, granted, I'm not, I didn't contribute to that completely, but I definitely was a part of it. And she was able to live her dream. So that was a big one. I've also had some clients that wanted to move. They wanted to move from Virginia to California. Their son was in the film industry and they wanted to be out there with him, and they could not get ready to sell their house. They just couldn't, between the paper and the things and everything like that. And so over the course of a few months, I was able to help them and free them from that burden and enable them to put their house on the market. So that was another one. And then the third one that pops in my head is a little bit different, but I helped a client, and he was probably late 30s, two young girls, and their mom, his wife, had passed away, and they had left everything exactly as is for 2 years.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it looked like she just went out to the grocery store, for 2 years, and it was time. They were ready. And that was one of the biggest honors, not just of my business and my career, but of my life. I mean, same thing, have these girls accept me and let me touch their things and and after we started with the storage unit because we thought that would be easy. And actually it was hard because he didn't realize what was in there. But then when I met the girls, and the one girl was going to have me work on her bedroom, and she had done what a lot of adults do, honestly. And the clutter builds up because in her case, it was trauma and grief. Some people, it's a disease or divorce or just a difficult time, job loss. But she had built a literal wall with her things to protect herself. And that's very common. And she was ready, though. She was ready to have her room be pretty again and, that type of thing. And so I went in, and she had circled, we worked on a Saturday. She had circled the date on her calendar, and she had written cleaning person coming. And I've never been so happy to be called a cleaning person in my life. And that was a very special one as well.
Oh my goodness. Just hearing you tell that story, I found myself getting very emotional. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to start crying right now. I cannot even imagine the pain and trauma that family went through, and like not wanting, also, understanding that not wanting to let go of their mom being there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, God bless you for what you do. I think that's just amazing. I know that we've talked a lot about decluttering things in life. Let's talk a little bit about, all of the mental clutter that you alluded to early on in the interview. What does some of that look like from people that you work with? What is all this mental stuff going on?
Right. So mental clutter a lot of times comes from outside. So it becomes internalized, and I call it those things that keep you awake 3 or 4 in the morning. It's things going on in your job, in your relationship, in your world, things you hear on the news, which that's one of the best things I ever did, by the way, was just cut out news altogether. But it causes those loops. It can cause negative self-talk. Emotional clutter can arise when we don't face things, we don't deal with things. I mentioned in my talk how we don't offer forgiveness a lot of times, and that can lead to emotional clutter. So if you think of it as, again, you're not navigating your life with ease, you're clogged up and stuck. We can all identify a time in our life when we've felt that way. It's hard to make decisions, and you feel overwhelmed, and it can bleed into more serious things, anxiety, depression, that type of thing. But even if you're not diagnosed with any of those, we've all experienced it, where you just feel stuck. And so what I do a lot with my clients as far as their thoughts and getting control of their thoughts and their emotions. But we also work on what I call developing an internal clutter toolkit. So no matter what the mental or emotional or even spiritual clutter is, biggest thing you can do for yourself is get control of your thoughts. But besides that, some of the things that help on the daily basis are going to vary from person to person, which is why I teach a wide variety of things, and then people can, like I said, put it in their toolkit. So things like journaling and meditation. I do a class in my group on art and using art as stress relief. Things like bringing in all the senses, so different scents and essential oils or sounds or music, or just like switching up maybe your habits, things like that. So there are a lot of things you can do. I think you had my Clutter to Clarity Steps website, and there's actually a PDF on there of 10 things to do to get unstuck. So that's a little preview of it. But what's interesting is you really can't address just one piece of the pie. You really can't just address your physical clutter without addressing why it got that way or how you're going to sustain your success and keep it going. And you definitely can't address mental clutter without looking at your physical environment, because it's always going to be a reflection of what's going on. But I tell my clients, the good news is it doesn't matter where you start. And if you think about this, you've probably experienced something close to it in your life, where if you clean out a drawer, all of a sudden you feel lighter and you feel, like things are looking up, and you just feel like you've shifted that energy in yourself and in your home, and you just feel good about yourself. And if you change and eliminate and work on some of that mental clutter, you do have more energy, and you do have the desire to express that outwardly and have your office or your home reflect like the new you, so to speak. So it doesn't matter where you start. They all positively affect each other.
I love that so much. You are clearly the expert on helping people to achieve clarity through getting rid of their clutter, whether it be physical clutter, mental clutter, emotional clutter. I'm definitely going to go to your cluttertoclaritysteps.com website. And I'm sorry, did you say it was a challenge, or can you explain again what that is?
Yeah, so there are two things that this is separate from my regular website. So on this site, there are two things. There's a PDF download, 10 things you can do to get unstuck. There's also a quiz. It's called your Productive Environment Quiz, and it'll give you a score right then of how productive you are. That quiz is geared more towards either your office or your home office, your paper, your email, that type of thing. I also have one geared towards just life, like laundry, and so people can reach out to me if they would like to take the other one as well.
Okay. And then if people go to this cluttertoclaritysteps.com website, will they also have the opportunity to book you for your services there? Or is there another site? Oh, okay. They can go there.
Yeah, they can. And then my regular website is conquerthechaos.com. So either one.
Conquerthechaos.com. I love it. Yeah. Well, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I am definitely ready to conquer the chaos in my life for sure. Like my husband would appreciate that very much. I would imagine he's like the type of person that, organizes his socks and underwear and clothes in the closet by color and everything. And he actually irons the sheets, and like, God bless him. I love him. He's awesome. Like, I'm the type person, I like just take my laundry and just throw it all in the same drawer. Like,
yeah, I have to admit, I will tell people, because you asked that question earlier, like, I bet your house is perfect. And yes, from the standpoint of, I know where everything is, especially digitally, and, I can find everything. But on a daily basis, I'm more like you. I would never fold my underwear. Like, that thought is so far removed from anything that I can comprehend, because if it's all together and it's in a drawer and I don't have too many and I don't have ones with holes, to me, it just doesn't matter. And I think that's why a lot of people like working with me, because I'm very practical. Like, I just want to make your life better. I want to make your life easier. I'm probably not the person for you if everything has to look like Pinterest. And that's just, I'm being honest.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Pinterest, like that just brings up so much, but like people, I think that people would do very well by getting off a lot of the social media sites, because they do, look at the Pinterest and the Instagram or whatever, and they're like, oh, look, their life is so perfect. But in reality, it's really not. It just looks that way, right?
Exactly.
So
Don't get me
good.
wrong, I enjoy looking at them, but it's not important enough to me to live that way.
Exactly. And then also what you said, I think is very important. Just get off the news. It's all negative. Like, why do you want to put that in your life anyway?
Mm-hmm.
But I need to tell my mother that for sure. So anyway, thank you so much, Kerry. It's been such
You're
a pleasure.
welcome.
I learned so much, and hopefully our audience did as well. And look forward to going to your website, signing up for the Clutter to Clarity, getting the steps, and taking the quiz. I'm like super excited. Thank you
Great.
again.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.